You ain't gotta check on me, I'm holding up. You ain't gotta check on me, I'm holding up. You ain't gotta check on me, I'm holding up. You ain't gotta check on me, I'm holding up. You ain't gotta check on me, I'm holding up.
Great day. You're now tuning in to How You Holding Up, the podcast, and I am your host, Brooklyn Boon. And like any other episode, any other interview, we have another special guest, Mr. Michael Brown, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, indeed, man. Thank you. I appreciate you having me on, my brother.
Come on now.
How you holding up, man?
Holding up great.
Nice.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, before we get into this conversation, can you tell the people who you are? Because I know you as a cigar sommelier.
Okay.
I also know you as a hat ambassador.
Yeah.
And I also know you as an artist.
Yes.
But can you just expound on that a little bit? Because like that hat on your head, man, you wear a lot of hats.
Yes, indeed.
Very fashionable too, might I add.
So as you said, my name is Michael Brown. I am the hat ambassador. I'm a hatter, a cigar sommelier. I'm also the man behind the brand Hats and Cigars. I'm also an author as well as an entrepreneur.
Nice.
So those are just a few of the many hats that I wear. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Shout out to you,
officially.
Man. Officially. Man. So I want to start from ending to beginning.
Okay.
You mentioned author.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to my left, to your right, we have here a book, and it's not authored by me. Can you tell us a little bit about it, that from the title to the description to the details of it?
Yeah, for sure. So this is my book, Hats and Cigars,
Nice.
Flaring and Pairing.
Okay.
So in the title, flaring is a term in hat culture to describe adding accessories to your hat, such as feathers, as hat pins.
I need some flaring myself on my hat, man.
That also goes back to why it's titled Hats and Cigars. So
Nice.
I started my own brand called Hats and Cigars.
Okay.
And Hats and Cigars, funny because a lot of people will always ask me if I sell hats.
Right.
I don't sell hats.
Not yet.
And I don't sell cigars.
Not yet.
But the name of the brand is Hats and Cigars because what I do is make cigar-centric hat pins.
Nice.
And accessories. So Hats and Cigars, the brand for me, is a way to give people, hatters that are also in the cigar culture, a way to represent their love for cigars.
Nice.
By having cigar hat pins and cigar related hat pins and accessories. So that's where the name Hats and Cigars come from, flaring and pairing. Also in the book, I utilize my expertise as a cigar sommelier to take a deep dive into some cigar pairings, hence where the pairing comes from in the title. And so each of the chapters in the book, what I do is I highlight and showcase a particular hat style in each chapter and kind of go into some history on the hat style, also how to wear the hat, also how to flare the hat and dress it up. So each chapter focuses on a hat style and then also on a cigar and spirit pairing.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I have a question, man. How would you flare this hat right here? Because I'm rocking a plain Jane, man. I mean, I got the little, I don't even know what the call is, but I guess it's an aesthetic.
That's the hat band.
There we go.
So it's funny because when I first started getting into fedoras, right, was when I moved here to Miami in 2015. I started working for Gorham Bros Hat Company on Miami Beach. And that's when I first started getting into wearing fedoras. Prior to that, I was mainly wearing flat caps. Or what some people would refer to as ivy caps or golf hats, right? So when I got to Miami, I started realizing that, the vibe here was more fedoras, more specifically trilby fedoras, or what here in Miami they'll call Cuban hat. Right. So I started wearing fedoras. When I first started wearing fedoras, I never wore them dressed up. They were all just the hat. I just wanted to showcase the hat. There was a coworker of mine that I worked at Gorham Bros with, and she would always, every time I would come in, she would say, "You got to flare out that hat. You know, you got to put some feathers in there. You got to flare out that hat." And at first I was kind of like, nah, this is just kind of how I rock my hats.
Right.
Until I finally started putting some flair into my hat, some feathers and pins and stuff like that. And once I started doing that, I haven't looked back. I mean, that's every hat that I wear is going to be flared out to some degree.
Absolutely.
Now, there's all kind of levels of flaring that you can have. Just a single feather, just to kind of add a nice little touch. Or you can go with multiple pins, multiple feathers, etc. For that hat, I would just go with a single feather.
Nice. Just
simple, distinctive, a clean look.
Okay.
And that would be all that was needed.
Okay.
Other than maybe a cigar hat pin from Hats and Cigars. But, you know, that's just a selfless plug.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay. So don't be surprised. Next episode, y'all see me with a flared out hat, man.
There you go.
Y'all got Mr. Brown to thank for that. So you also mentioned that you are a cigar sommelier.
Yeah.
For those who don't know what that is, can you share with us what that title means and how you come about obtaining such a title?
Yeah, so Cigar Sommelier, similar to what most people would know like a wine sommelier, right? Is usually where you hear the term most, but there is such a thing as cigar sommelier. I was actually able to acquire my certification through International Association for Cigar Sommeliers.
Okay.
And one of the reasons I did that was really to kind of further my cigar journey and get more serious about cigars and being able to put me into positions like I'm in today. And so what Cigar Sommelier does mainly is provide cigar service, not just ordinary service, but exceptional service above and beyond just your normal tobacconist, for example. So a lot of that is about the service in terms of the cigar knowledge, as well as cutting and lighting a cigar for the guest, and those sort of things. As also Cigar Sommelier focus is on cigar pairings as well, and more specifically gourmet pairings.
Nice.
So that is one reason I wanted to get into it, was really to kind of further my knowledge and experience with cigars, and also kind of give me more of a foundation to be able to, example, have a position like I do here at Red Phone Booth. Matter of fact, shout out to Red Phone Booth. That's where we're here recording today, at Red Phone Booth in Brickell, which is a 1920s Prohibition era speakeasy and also a cigar lounge as well. And so, you know, thinking of that, just kind of saying that, it kind of brings me and us to a full circle moment.
Yes,
right?
Sir.
Because actually Red Phone Booth here in Brickell is where we met.
Yes,
yeah.
Sir.
So,
Yes, sir.
and you know, just let me stop there, man. Say, you know, thank you for having me on, man. It's a pleasure. I appreciate all you do, man, and just allowing me the opportunity to come on and share my story, man. I appreciate you.
Pleasure,
but from the first moment that we met, we hit it off.
Yes,
I
sir.
mean, and so,
Yes, sir.
you know, which one thing, you know, that to me, I love about the cigar culture is that how it brings people together.
Yeah, man.
How, you know, cigars are the great equalizer in terms of breaking down some walls and allowing people from different walks of life to be able to share something and have something in common that will spark conversation, that will spark business opportunities, that will spark friendships. And so that's one reason I love the cigar culture. I mean, it's allowed me to meet some great people all around the world, all across this country. Allowed me to meet you, and I mean, for me, you know, two of my greatest passions right now in life are hats and cigars. Hence why I named the brand Hats and Cigars. Hence
It only
why I
makes
named
sense.
the book Hats and Cigars. And so, you know, I mean, for me, when I'm passionate about something, I like to go all in 100% with it. And so, hats, you know, for me are a big part of my life, a big part of my style, a big part of my persona, the hat ambassador. And cigars the same way. I mean, it's my lifestyle. Um, Even though I do have a job in the cigar industry, regardless if I did not, cigars would still be a part of my life. Hats are always going to be a part of my life.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. That's dope, brother. And I'm glad you broke the ice with that, man, because as you mentioned, we did meet here at Red Phone Booth, man.
Yeah.
And shout out to everyone at Red Phone Booth. I'm talking about from the founder, CEOs down to the staff, man. And you guys are all great. You have welcomed me with open arms here, being an honorary member, and I do thank you guys. You were actually in one of the singles that I dropped last year called "I'm on Time."
Right,
You were in the
yeah.
video, so
Yeah.
shameless plug or selfish plug, like you
Right,
said.
right,
Check
right.
out the official video, see Mr. Michael cameo and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you spoke a lot on the journey of hats and cigars.
Mhm.
How and where did it all start for you?
Wow. Cigars for me started back in the early 2000s.
Okay.
I'm originally from Indianapolis, Indiana. And so that's where my cigar journey started. I was just a casual cigar smoker
Mhm.
at the time for many years, from 2005 to 2019. I smoked primarily Drew Estate cigars and acid cigars and their line of infused cigars. So big shout out to Drew Estate.
Shout out to Drew Estate, Miss Izzy, Javier, Desmond, the whole Drew Estate establishment here in Doral, Florida.
Yeah.
Shout out to you guys.
So that's where my cigar journey started. My hat journey started, I like to say, when I moved to Miami and started working for Gorn Bros. But
Okay.
prior to that, I had started wearing hats. I had made a conscious effort to add hats to my repertoire. So I was primarily at the time wearing flat caps. And then once I got to Miami, I started wearing fedoras. And it's funny how both hats and cigars correlate. You know, I've been to many cigar events, and cigar events are where I started seeing the fact that people who were smoking cigars were wearing hats. Like, it was a thing. And so that's where I came up with the name of the brand, Hats and Cigars. There was a gentleman who came in the hat shop
Okay.
and was looking for some hats, and we happened to start talking, and come to find out he owned a couple cigar lounges in Charlotte, North Carolina. But he had asked me if we made any cigar hat pins. And at the time I explained to him, no, we didn't have anything like that. Well, coincidentally, a few months after that, I ran into the gentleman again at a hat or at a cigar event here in Miami. And again, he asked me, man, do you have any cigar hat pins yet? And man, I was like, no, we still don't have any cigar hat pins. And as a matter of fact, I don't think anybody even makes cigar hat pins.
Mm.
So I went home and I did my research after that cigar event, trying to find anybody who made cigar hat pins. And nobody was making cigar hat pins. So
Wow.
for me, that's when I had my light bulb moment and decided to start working toward becoming an entrepreneur.
Mm.
And so I wanted to start a brand making cigar hat pins and cigar related hat pins and accessories. And so that's where Hats and Cigars, the brand, came from.
So not only are you an entrepreneur, a sommelier,
Yes.
an author,
Mm-hmm.
and hatter,
Yeah.
or a hatter, pardon me. But you're also an innovator.
Yeah.
Because if nobody's out here making hat pins and you the first
Yeah.
to do it,
Yeah.
shout out to you, man.
Right on, man.
You
Right
seen the
on.
supply and then you created the demand for it.
Yeah. I mean,
Well, you seen the demand and you created the supply for it.
exactly.
That's what I'm talking about,
so going to these cigar events and seeing the amount of people who were wearing hats, I just knew that that was a way, since I was kind of already in the hat business and the hat culture, a way for me to provide something to the cigar culture in ways they could add that to their hats, the way that they could represent their love for cigars with hat pins and accessories. I've seen the black cigar culture grow since I've kind of been in it.
Yeah.
And one thing in the black cigar culture has been that a lot of people are wearing hats.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and so even going back to why I call myself the hat ambassador is because for me, I wanted to, that was a way for me to kind of encourage and bring awareness to people about the hat culture and how to wear hats, not just as function like you would see back in the days, but also as a form of fashion. And so our beautiful brothers and sisters, that's what they did in the cigar cultures, right? Really kind of took that and are wearing hats now as a fashion statement, along with, you know, stepping out, going to speakeasies and cigar lounge, dressing up, looking nice, having some style about you, and adding that hat to the repertoire. And so for me, creating cigar-centric hat pins was a way that that people who also loved hats could represent their love for cigars on their hats.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, this sounds like time travel, man, because I've seen clips of people in the Harlem Renaissance.
Yeah.
When it was focused on music, the art of just the culture of our people.
Right.
You know, and how they incorporated cigars and the hats as well. Right? Now, speaking of music and incorporating the cigars with the hats, you are also a music artist.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. My love for music goes back to all the way back to when I was a young kid. I loved music. I loved writing.
Right.
Also. And so when I was first exposed to hip hop, I mean, it was love at first sight.
Nice.
You know, and so growing up, that was my ambition, and what I wanted to be was a rapper.
Nice.
And so throughout the early 90s to the early 2000s, I formed a group called Game Clinic.
Game Clinic.
Yeah.
Yes,
and
sir.
so we released 3 albums, 2 in the 90s, 1 in the early 2000s. And yeah, I mean, for me, I mean, the music, the writing, the performing, the recording, all of that, I just fell in love with it. And so, like we were talking about full circle moments, that was something I was doing early on. And like I said, the last music that we had recorded and put out was in 2002, until just a year or two ago, we released a new album on all platforms, all streaming platforms. Game Clinic, the album is called Weaponized Funk.
Fire.
And so, yeah, so I mean, you know, it's funny how things happen in your life, you know. A lot of people know me now from the hats and from cigars, but yeah, you know, back in the day, I was doing my thing with music.
And you still doing it, man.
Still doing it, yeah.
You and Game Clinic, you guys just recently released that album, man.
Yeah.
It's dope. If you haven't heard it, please do check it out. It's streaming on all music platforms. Ring My Bell that's one of the ones that I enjoy, man.
Yeah.
So shout out to you guys, man.
Definitely, thank you, man, thank you,
Man, so right, so now the book. Where
Yeah.
can people find it if they're interested in reading it?
Yeah, for sure. So, of course, the book, Hats and Cigars, Flaring and Pairing, is available on Amazon. You can get the ebook, paperback, or hard copies, as well as through my website, hatsandcigars.com. You can get autographed copies, both paperback and hard copy, through my website.
Not too many authors are doing that.
Yeah.
And what about the pins? And what if they wanted some flaring for their hats?
Yeah,
Would they
for
be
sure.
able?
Hatsandcigars.com is the place to go for that. If you need to find me, connect with me, contact me, you can reach out to me through Instagram at Hat Ambassador. If you want to get in tune with the Game Clinic, follow them on IG at Game Clinic Official, and then Hats and Cigars on Facebook. So that's where you can find me. You can get in touch with me. Any orders or anything like that can go through hatsandcigars.com.
Sweet,
Yeah.
man. So how were you able to transition from, being full-time music artist to now being the hat ambassador? Because both, I think, take equal amount of creativity and passion and drive for it.
Yeah.
So how do you stay consistent with that? Because as you mentioned earlier in the conversation, this is part of who you are. When we see Mr. Michael Brown, we see a flared out hat.
Yeah.
We see some good style from the threads
Yes.
to a nice cigar.
Yeah. So for me, think in my core, I'm a creative.
Yeah.
I'm creative. So, and really about transition, being able to transition through all of those throughout the years, really for me is just all about evolution.
Okay.
Right. So I've been able to evolve as I've gotten older, as I've gotten more experience, as I've learned new things. I've been able to experience things that then I can share things with people, and I can give back in ways such as the hat pin, such as the book, such as my service here at Red Phone Booth. So I've been able to evolve, not necessarily transition, but it's really been evolving into who I am today. But at my core, I'm still all of those things.
Okay.
I still maintain that creativity that no matter what venture it may be, no matter what opportunity may present itself, that just I'm able to adapt to that, able to take advantage of opportunities that come along my way, and able to, like you said, transition or evolve to the next thing, whatever that may be, whether it may be doing events. Just to mention, I do have an event coming up here in South Florida in Hollywood.
Okay.
Coming up on March 17th. Meet the Author event, which is going to be a JT Workspace. Shout out to JT Workspace for having me on March 17th. I'm definitely looking forward to the Meet the Author event. Or whether it be things like touring with Davidoff.
Nice.
Right? Because, after I had written the book Hats and Cigars, I was presented with an opportunity to tour with Davidoff. And so one of the brand managers at Davidoff had got a copy of my book, and they reached out to me to do a series of events around the country with them.
Nice.
Me being the focal point of those events, and that was called The Art of Hats and Cigars.
Nice.
So definitely a blessing. Shout out to Davidoff. Definitely a blessing being able to tour with them and really get to know Davidoff Cigars and really fell in love with the brand and how they do business and what they do. Just being able to have that experience of touring with them really did a lot for me to further my cigar journey and really kind of, like I said, add something to my resume and my repertoire to add to being an author and going out and being able to present and be a public speaker and doing events like that.
Wow.
And so, yeah, just like with the hat journey, just like with the cigar journey, your life journey.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's all about evolving and, you know, one day to the next becoming the best version of yourself you can be. And that's what I strive to do every day.
Wow. You have quite the resume, man.
Thank you. Thank you, man.
Davidoff.
Yeah.
You've introduced me to Davidoff, actually. And I want to say that Davidoff is one of the premier powerhouse cigar brands that there is. I know you're an avid speaker when it comes to that brand.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it comes from a place of you having the opportunity to tour and work with them, or if it's genuinely a cigar that you enjoy, because it really is a great brand. So why do you speak so highly of it, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, for sure. So when I was doing my research for the book and trying to come up with cigar pairings, that is when I really started smoking Davidoff cigars.
Okay.
I share some pairings in the book with some Davidoffs, along with some great cognac pairings, some great whiskey pairings in there as well. But I came to be a fan of their cigars once I was able to tour with them and really see how the brand operates. Gave me a whole new level of respect for what they do and the cigars that they make, learning about what it takes to what it takes to make their cigars, and a lot of that history and backstory about Davidoff and things like that gave me a better appreciation
Nice.
for Davidoff cigars. And so that's why they're my favorite brand, and that's why I speak so highly of them.
Nice. Shout out again, man. Thank you for presenting Mr. Michael Brown here, the hat ambassador, with that opportunity, because now you're able to express that experience not only with me, but for everyone who's watching and also listening, man. So shout out to you, man.
Thank you.
So what would you say is your favorite pairing? Like, if you had to, a regular day for you, right? We'll do 3 occasions. First pairing and flaring that you would do. I'm saying from the hat to the cigar to the drink. Your birthday.
Wow.
Yeah. What would you pair and flare?
So
and before you answer, right? Pardon to cut your wisdom.
No worries.
How many hats do you have in your collection? Give or take.
I would guess I've probably got about 80 to 90 hats.
So now let's answer that question with the
So if I was going to celebrate,
right?
You know, I even mentioned it in the book. To me, every day is a day to celebrate. Every day that I can breathe and I can wake up is a day to celebrate for me. You know, many people will discuss having cigars as a celebratory type of thing, and will only choose to enjoy a cigar for those type of things. For me, I never know if I'll ever see those opportunities for those celebrations. So I want to celebrate today, right? But yes, for my birthday, a special occasion, man, I would start off the hat. More than likely is going to be some type of straw hat. I mean, we live here in Miami.
Right. It's only right.
The weather is perfect year round for a straw hat. So more than likely, you're going to see me in a straw hat. Most of my collection of hats are straw hats. So you're definitely going to see me in some type of straw hat. I'm going to be smoking some type of top of the line cigar. Whether it be a limited edition or just a luxury cigar. Usually something on the higher end, like a Davidoff Royal Release, an Opus X, something really that I really want to savor and enjoy.
Nice.
Unlike a regular day, but if I'm really celebrating, I really want to smoke the best. And then also I'm going to pair that with the best. I mean, my spirit of choice is cognac.
Okay.
Right? So I'm probably going to definitely go with something like a Hennessy XO,
Can't go
or a
wrong.
Remy XO, something like that,
Nice.
to pair with whatever fine cigar I'm smoking.
Now, is there a specific flaring that you would do?
No, so usually all of my hats are flared, right?
Yeah.
And usually once I choose a hat, once I get a hat, I will then flare it out.
Okay.
So then that hat becomes flared. That's how that hat will always be.
Okay.
So anytime I choose a hat, the feathers, the pins are already with it.
Already.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and usually I will choose a hat or what I'm wearing for that day, what I plan to style myself in, or the hat with. It's just going to really be how I feel, because I mean, if I try and put too much thought into it with so many options, it's going to be difficult. So really, whatever I'm kind of feeling that day in that moment, that's what I'll go with, and that's what I'll wear.
I'm glad you answered that, because I definitely was about to ask, from a collection of 80 to 90 hats,
Yeah.
right? You have your own personal humidor.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure you have your own personal, bar at the house, you know, when you want something more chill or not, right?
Yeah.
I was going to ask, how do you decide what it is that you want to look or smoke or sit, man? Because that variety is a lot, man.
It is. But like I said, man, it's just really
how you feel.
Yeah. I mean, because, the way I individually style myself, for me, I feel like I've kind of cultivated a particular look, whether it be casual, whether it be dressed up. Usually you will always see me in a blazer of some sort. And usually blazers, I can match with certain or several different looks, whether it be I can pair a blazer with a V-neck t-shirt and jeans, or I can pair it with a suit and dress it up. However,
Chinos,
and so and also with blazers, usually I'll have things that I can wear multiple looks with the same blazer.
Yeah.
So I don't always have to have the same look with any particular blazer. I can wear multiple looks. And usually once I find a blazer or a hat that I'm building a look around or a style around, I'll get things to accessorize and be able to combo those up with several different looks. And that way I'm always being able to change it up, whether it be different hats for the same type of blazer, or I said different looks, whether it be from jeans to suit or dressed up, whether it be a tux or et cetera. So
no 2 days are ever the same, man.
So I have ways to switch it up. And I mean, really it just is about, finding your own personal style. Same kind of way with hats and flaring the hats. To me, why I fell in love with flaring out your hat is because it gives you a way to individualize that hat, a way to make it your own, the way to give yourself your own personal style. And so you can do so many things with accessorizing and flaring your hat that you start kind of cultivating a certain kind of way you do your hats, in a way that they look. And so that's at the hat shop. That's what I used to try and encourage people to do, is find that style for yourself. Because as you wear hats more and more, as you start to flare them out, you will find your style. And once you do, people then start to really fall in love with the hat culture once they really get comfortable in wearing the hat. As I speak about in the book, one of the main things with wearing a hat is the confidence, is having that confidence to wear the hat. There was a saying I always used to say is, wear the hat, don't let the hat wear you.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? So, So definitely, ways to dress up your hat and find that individual style. So for me, it just comes down to feel and how I'm feeling that day determines what I'm going to wear and how I'm going to put it together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I have to say this. Every time I see you, brother, you dress to the nines.
Right
man.
on, right on, man.
You dress to the nines. What fashion institute did you go to for your style, brother?
Man, no fashion institute for me, man.
Mr. Michael puts it on every time, man. Every time you see him, man, he represents himself well, man. You guys will see it in the video that he has a cameo in for mine. I'm on time, and every time or anytime you come here to Red Phone Booth when you are in the city of Brickell in Miami, you'll see it for yourself, man. But please do, as you were saying, brother.
Yeah, man. I mean, man. I mean, it's just for me. I think I was just able to find and cultivate my own style.
Yeah.
And I think for people, anyone out there, that's kind of, when you're able to find your own style, you find yourself, right?
Yeah.
And how you want to present yourself to people. And I found that the style that I've been able to create for myself, a lot of that also goes back to, how I wanted to represent the brand, how I wanted to represent my persona of the hat ambassador. And so a lot of that went into that.
Right.
Because, I wasn't always like this.
Right.
Right. And so I had to create that for myself.
Evolution.
I had to find out what that looked like for me. Not everybody is going to have the same style. It's going to have the same look. That's one thing I liked about working at Gorin Bros is that Gorin Bros allowed you to have your own style. My boss there had his own style. Other co-workers I worked with had their own style. And so that's kind of where I started creating my style because I had the opportunity to do so. Never before prior to that had I worked somewhere that I could have my own style with what I wore to work. Same way here at Red Phone Booth, they allow me to be able to craft my own style and wear what I wear to work and be able to present that to everyone that comes into Red Phone Booth. And I appreciate that because it allows me to be me. And, so I encourage everyone to be able to do that, to really find that. For me, one way to do that was finding hats and falling in love with hats. So I encourage anyone to try that. If you're not into hats, let's find a way to get you into hats.
Right.
Right. Follow me on Instagram.
Please,
see how I put together my looks with my hats and get inspiration from that. I'm inspired every day, looking at some of the hat makers who are out there making hats. The influencers that are out there bringing awareness to the hat culture. Same as with cigar influencers who are out there. And so I'm inspired daily by what they do. And that helps keep me abreast of what's going on in both the cigar culture and hat culture, what the trends are, what's happening day to day, and also a way that I can evolve with that.
You mentioned a number of things with that gem that you just dropped. First thing I noticed and that I took from it is hat ambassador.
Yeah.
You said your brand.
Yeah.
You are your brand. You present yourself as your brand.
Yes.
I have recently begun to understand because this is a twofold observation.
Right.
First thing is, for me, God allows us to unlock certain knowledge and wisdom at the time that he wants us to. Second thing is, I realize that as I am an artist, a creator, a conceptualizer, a writer, producer, director, podcast host, so many other things, right? I understand that I am ultimately a business, but not just a business. I am a brand.
Right. Exactly.
And I have to carry and present myself as such.
Right.
Because it starts with me. And just like when I wear my merchandise, how you holding up?
Right. Yeah.
It's a statement. I'm posing a question,
Right.
and I'm also making a fashion statement,
Yeah.
all in one breath.
Right.
So I definitely understand the sentiment of you saying, "Yo, look, when you see me,
yeah,
you're gonna know I got a good hat on,
Yeah.
a good fit, a good cigar, a nice pair to drink with." So I understand you wholeheartedly, brother, and I'm glad that I am at the stage now to
Right.
where I can understand where it is that you're coming from.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
man. So your journey started in 2005 with smoking cigars.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to you for 20 years of being in this industry, brother, because longevity, in my opinion, is success.
Yeah.
You have accolades to match it,
Mm-hmm.
right? You have a business to go with it. You've been on tour with Davidoff.
Mm-hmm.
You're also in demand right now when it comes to being an author that people want to see and hear their story, read their story.
Yeah.
How'd you their story?
Yeah.
How'd you come about the cigar journey? Where did it start for you?
Well, early on, like I said, when I first got into cigars, I was working in cigar retail at a tobacco shop in Indiana, and that's where I was first exposed to cigars and fell in love with it. But I really didn't get serious about cigars until I moved to Miami in 2015. I knew, coming from Indiana, at the time that when I left, there was not much of a cigar culture in Indiana. I'm happy to see that since I've moved here to Miami, the cigar culture has grown. And it just also kind of showcases how much the cigar culture is growing in the US to see how it has grown in Indianapolis.
Nice.
But I knew coming to Miami would be an opportunity for me to get more serious about cigars, having the rich history and cigar culture here in Miami. So when I moved here, I wanted to find out as much as I could about the cigar culture. So I started attending cigar events like Black Smoke Miami, the Miami Mega Herf Yacht Party, the other cigar events here in South Florida, as well as cigar events around the country as well. And so going to those events just was an eye opener for me on how much, or let me say, the cigar culture for me opened my eyes a lot. Like I said, because I was kind of new to this cigar culture that I was seeing. And so fell in love with the camaraderie, the people that I was meeting in the cigar culture, the opportunities that I was coming into from the cigar culture. And so that led me also to, like I said, want to further that journey. And that's when I studied and got certified as a cigar sommelier. After touring with Davidoff, I wanted to get back into cigar retail. I wanted to get back into the cigar business. And so that's why I came to Red Phone Booth.
Nice.
For me, I like to align myself with passion and brands that I connect with and that represent something that I connect with and I align with. And so for me, Red Phone Booth was exactly that. It wasn't just a cigar lounge, but the concept, everything about it, to me, was somewhere where I could further my cigar journey. And that's why I came here.
Nice. Yeah. Sweet, man. So I wanna ask you, your book, Hats and Cigars, which is available on Amazon and also on hatsandcigars.com.
Yes, yeah.
What would you say is your favorite pairing in your book? It's tough, I know.
So one pairing that sticks out to me is in one of the chapters. It's called Cognac and Cigars.
Can you show us?
Yeah, for sure.
Let the people see what's going on here.
Yeah. So let's see. Cognac and cigars is.
And while you find it, I do
Yeah.
want to say something too. I love how vibrant it is,
Thank
because
you.
a lot of books are, bland, typical black and white.
Right.
But with this, you are really capturing the aesthetic of the Miami lifestyle,
Yeah.
being bold, colorful,
Most
vibrant.
definitely. Because one thing I found is, one thing is the hat culture and the cigar culture for me has become a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And so I definitely wanted to showcase that in the book and show that in the book. So
Okay.
chapter 3,
Okay.
Cognac and Cigars.
Hope you guys can see that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so in this chapter, I talk about my personal love for cognac
Okay.
and where that came from, dating back to the mid 90s as an up and coming rapper in the Midwest. And one of the reasons Hennessy cognac is the number one cognac in the US has a lot to do with the hip hop culture.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's where I first was introduced to Hennessy. But in the book, I particularly pair in the chapter Cognac and Cigars, Hennessy XO with a limited edition Zeno.
Is that the name of the brand?
Yeah, Zeno. So Zeno is a brand under the Davidoff Cigars
Gotcha.
line. So
Okay.
it's one of Davidoff cigar line, Zeno,
Gotcha.
which is named after the founder of Davidoff, Zeno Davidoff.
Nice.
So Zeno had a limited edition in 2022. Their limited edition cigar I paired with Hennessy XO.
Nice.
And so that was one of my favorite pairings in the book. Hennessy XO is one of my favorite expressions of Hennessy. And so that particular cigar paired perfectly with Hennessy. But I think, like I said, in terms of the book, that's my favorite because, of course, to the callback and the respect for cognac and being my spirit of choice. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Now, evolution,
Yeah.
growth,
Mm-hmm.
maturity.
Yeah.
Through all of that, I'm sure you've had moments in life where it might have been hard as far as seeing where you'd end up or figuring out how you'd get to the next day. Like you said, every day is a celebratory day for you. Right. So I don't know what it took for you to gain that perspective, but I do want to ask you, through all of that, how you holding up?
Hey, man, I'm holding up, man. I appreciate you for asking.
Of course.
That's one thing that we don't ask each other much. Especially as black men.
Yeah.
We don't ask that much, and we don't also divulge that much either.
There you go. There you go.
So I appreciate you asking. Man, I'm doing well. I'm blessed. I appreciate you having me on and giving me the platform to tell my story and share my journey with everyone. And so, man, I'm just thankful to be where I'm at. I mean, for me, it wasn't always this. I've had my share of successes. I've had my share of failures. And from those failures, I've always tried to learn and evolve from that. And, I'm thankful for those failures, for teaching me things. And so, what I would just share and encourage anyone to do is no matter the failures you might have in life, just keep persevering, pushing through, because you'll never have success if you never try. Mm-hmm. And so, for me, any type of opportunities that have come my way, any type of success I may have had has been because I was available for that opportunity. I was able to take advantage of the opportunity when I had it. I was able to, you know, go out of my comfort zone and do things that I wouldn't normally do. And so, you know, I just encourage anyone, if there's an opportunity there to do that, to take it and run with it. You know, for me, the book, you know, was something I never thought of doing. I never considered myself a writer in that manner.
Okay.
To write a book. I was fortunately encouraged by my sister, who after many years in the corporate world, retired and became an entrepreneur herself, starting her own publishing company. And she was the one that encouraged me to write the book. And at the time, I pushed back because I was afraid of the unknown. I was afraid of stepping out of my comfort zone and trying to do something I had never done. Never really had aspired to do it or wanted to do it, but she challenged me. And eventually I came around to convincing myself that it was the best thing for me to do. And I'm glad that I believed in myself enough to take that leap of faith, step out of my comfort zone and sit down and write the words, put the pen to paper and come up with something that to me, I would consider probably one of the greatest works I've done to date. I mean, something I'm very proud of, but that never would have happened if I had not taken that chance and done it. So I just encourage anyone, if the opportunity is there, whatever it may be, take that chance, bet on yourself, and good things will happen, for sure.
Faith over fear.
Right, exactly.
I want to highlight one of the many words that you have been able to articulate for us.
Yeah.
But perseverance.
Yeah.
Because I was waiting for you to say it, and I was hoping you say it. I'm like, come on, everything
Right.
you said sums up the perseverance. You gotta say it.
Yeah.
But man, you know, I've recently, I've been into the Bible, right?
Okay.
You and I speak about it,
of course.
and I've been seeing the word a lot of times, right? But every day your perspective enhances depending on what it is that you're seeking. If it's wisdom you're seeking for, that perspective is going to change for you. It's going to improve for you.
Right.
So perseverance, I kept seeing it. Then I have the Webster's dictionary in my phone. So I like to look words up. I like to be on point with everything, right?
Right.
And there's a scripture. There's many scriptures in the Bible that speaks on it. But Romans chapter 5, 1-6 speaks on it. And also James chapter 1, 2-4 speaks on it.
Okay.
But perseverance builds character.
Yeah.
For me, I like to say with God, well, we all go through things. But for me, with God, I've gotten through things.
Yeah.
He has allowed me to persevere and be steadfast in those failures that we know them to be, those challenges, to get through them, but confidently.
Right.
Like you said, your sister challenged you.
Yeah.
And because you've had failures before, you were able to, and I say nothing. I'm a creator, as you said earlier in the conversation. I am a creative, and we all are. Right. But you said I was a writer, but in a different type of field of view. Yeah. Right. So, man, I want to say I'm proud of you for accepting that challenge.
Thank you.
Building that confidence. Yeah. And persevering. Because now you brought it to fruition. Yeah. You have a physical copy of a book that you authored. Yeah. And that your sister published. Yes. Thank you for that community between you and her.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah.
That is key. Yeah. Man, thank you for sitting down.
Yeah, for sure, man.
With me.
Most definitely, man. It's my pleasure. Always a pleasure chopping it up with you, man. I thank you for everything you do. You know, I'll always support, man, and definitely following your journey. You know what I'm saying? So I wish you much success in everything you do. Again, thank you for allowing me to share my story with your audience. And And man, I look forward to the future and what it has to hold for both of us, man.
Likewise.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, we definitely going to enjoy this day here.
Yes.
We're going to maximize and
Yes.
make the most of it. Real
Indeed.
quick, before we go,
Yeah.
Mr. Brown,
Yeah.
Michael Brown, hat ambassador,
Yes, sir.
Cigar Sommelier,
Yeah.
hatter,
Yes.
author,
Yes.
writer, music artist.
Yes, sir.
Can you inform the people of any events you have coming up one more time?
Yeah, for sure. On March 17th, JT Workspace, I'll be doing a Meet the Author event at 6 p.m. Definitely, if you're able to, come out. And while I'm plugging everything, of course, again, hatsandcigars.com. Make sure you tune in to the How You Holding Up podcast. Remember to comment, like, share. You know what I'm saying?
Subscribe.
Of course. And
What's your motto?
If you didn't know.
Yeah. Talk about
My
it, man.
motto is keep a cigar in your grip, a drink at your lips, and a hat for your fit.
Come on now.
Hats and cigars, baby. How you holding up?
Are you holding
You
up?
already know.
Yes. Listen, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being present as Mr. Michael Brown and I have a conversation, man. This is just one of hundreds that we've had, man.
Yeah.
But we decided to get it on camera, man.
Yeah.
So thank you again.
No, appreciate
thank
you,
you
man.
again. Like, comment, subscribe, and also share. Until the next time, how you holding up? Make sure you comment below, and also ask somebody else how they holding up. You just never know who need to hear that question, man. Red Phone Booth, thank you again for having us.
Yes, indeed.
We appreciate you guys.
I keep going cause they
All
know
right.
my seed.
Thank you again.
Appreciate you, man.
They gotta be discreet for it. While they grilling me, they better watch they George for me. This my shot and I form the perfect form for it. You ain't gotta check on me, I'm holding up. You ain't gotta check on me, I'm holding up. You ain't gotta check on me, I'm holding up. You ain't gotta check on me, I'm holding up. You ain't gotta check on me, I'm holding up. You ain't gotta check on me, I'm holding up.